ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كل بدعة ضلالة.
آية فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. But know by your Lord, they can have no true faith or real faith until they make you judge in all disputes that arise between them, and then find in their souls no resistance against that which you have judged, and they submit with a full submission. So a believer in everything, in his beliefs, in his morals, in his dealings, in his da'wah, in his interactions, in everything, all of it, the judge of that is the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this applies to the whole of the religion. Ibn Taymiyyah mentions that this ayah is an ayah which the generality of the Khawarij, they use to make takfir of the rulers. To make takfir of the rulers. And the Khawarij, obviously we mentioned Abdullah ibn Zubayr, that he was involved in defending Uthman from the Khawarij. And Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, when he speaks of those people who revolted against Uthman, he always refers to them as Khawarij. Because many of the scholars, they say that the first Khawarij, after Dhul Khuwaisir, the father of the Khawarij, that they were those who revolted against Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And so he refers to them as the Khawarij. And these Khawarij, it is very clear in the historical accounts that they considered Uthman to be a disbeliever. They considered him to be a disbeliever. And on account of what they saw as injustice and their claims, which were false, they were all false claims, they were trouble causers and liars and mischief makers and criminals, they basically claimed that Uthman was not judging by the book of Allah. And this was their basic argument. This is what led them to make khuruj, to revolt against Uthman. So we see that they revolved around this issue of judging by the book of Allah. They claimed that Uthman abandoned judging by the book of Allah. And likewise, when you look at the Khawarij who came afterwards in the time of Ali, and you see the behavior that they had with Ali, like for example, they would heckle with him in the mosque. So when they broke off, the army broke off, and they settled in Harura, Ibn Abbas went to them, debated with them, Ali himself went to debate with them as well. And what happened after that is that there was an understanding that you can come back to Kufa, and you can live amongst us, and so long as you don't spill any blood and you don't do this, then we won't initiate anything against you. So the Khawarij came back to Kufa. Whilst they were in Kufa, and Ali used to give the khutbah on Jum'ah and speak and give sermon, these people would come and they would start to heckle him in the masjid. And he would give sermons, and they would stand in the corner of the mosque and they would start shouting, La hukma illa lillah. Judgment belongs only to Allah. And as Ali would respond to them, one of them, he would put his fingers in his ears, and he would stand up reciting the ayah in the Quran, La in ashrakta la yahbatanna amaluk. This ayah, in which Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says that it has indeed been revealed to you and to those who came before you, that if you set up partners with Allah, that your deeds will become vain and you'll be from the losers. So they accused Ali of being a mushrik, of committing shirk. Why is that? It is because they say that he allowed men to judge, he gave them the right to make judgment. And so this really, the essence, they're basically claiming that he committed shirk in al-hakimiyyah. This is what it essentially boils down to. That he committed shirk in Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah, to use the language of the contemporaries, of Mawdudi, of Qutb, of Osama bin Laden, of all of the takfiris, jihadis, the Khawarij that are present in our time. This is their language. Abu Muhammad al-Maqdisi, Abu Qatada. This is their language. This is the essence of what their deen, it revolves around. It is not making takfir of Muslims on account of sin. Right? Because this trait of the Khawarij, it came later. It is a later development. So anyone who says that it is a condition for someone to be a Khariji, that he must make takfir of the Muslim who fornicates, who gambles, who steals, this is false. This is not correct. Because even Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he brings the ahadith of the Khawarij, of Dhul Khuwaysira, one of the titles he gives in the chapter heading, he says, Bab man taraka qital al-Khawarij, chapter on the one who abandoned fighting the Khawarij, or qatl al-Khawarij, I don't recall, in order to keep them together, meaning to keep the people together and united. A chapter with that basic meaning. So, some of the scholars, they say that here, al-Bukhari used the word Khawarij, even though the Khawarij hadn't appeared. So this is a reference to Dhul Khuwaysira and those people who were with him in that time. And so the point being here then, the point that we are alluding to here then is that the Khawarij, the seeds were present in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They essentially accused him of not judging by justice, which is the same as saying that he did not judge by what Allah revealed. Then they came in the time of Uthman, and they accused Uthman of abandoning the judgment of Allah and employing rulers who were basically oppressive and tyrannical and so on and so forth. And this is what they accused Uthman of, and they made takfir of him. Those who killed him, they treat him to be as a disbeliever. And then in the time of Ali, it's the same people, the same from the time of Dhul Khuwaysira, the seeds were present. And then those people who appeared in the time of Uthman, the names of the individuals, the characters, they were the same ones who were present who then came and they led the revolt against Ali, the same group of people, the same current. And then when it came to the time of Ali, then they came out under the guise of Inil hukmu illa lillah. And they accused Ali of being a mushrik because he allowed men, or he gave men the right to judge. Well, this is similar, this is identical to what we see in the people of today. The point of mentioning this is because there are many people of misguidance, there are many Western academics who are studying the Khawarij, who are studying Al-Qaeda, who are studying ISIS, and they are trying to cause confusion about what is a Khariji, because they're trying to stick the Khawarij label onto Salafiyah. They're trying to say that Salafiyah and the Khawarij is like this. That if you have Salafiyah, you have Kharijiyah. And they are writing papers, they are writing books, and they're trying to basically merge these two together so that, it is as if you cannot be a terrorist except that you have the Aqidah of the Salaf. Because that's generally what they're trying to say. So the point in this, what we're mentioning here, is that one of the things they claim is that they say that the Khariji is the one who makes takfir by way of sin. But when we look at Abu Qatada, when we look at Abu Muhammad al-Maqdisi, when we look at ISIS, when we look at their statements, they are denying all of this. In fact, they are refuting those amongst them who basically are making takfir by way of sin. So how then can they be Khawarij? How are they Khawarij? They're not Khawarij. So we need to be clear about this. This is falsehood. This is not correct. It is not a condition that you make takfir by way of sin for you to be a Khariji. Rather, this is something which came later amongst the Khawarij as a principle that you make takfir who basically, fall into major sins. So, as this ayah, as Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he mentioned, وَذُلٍّ لِحُكْمِ الْقُرْآنِ, to submit to the judgment of the Qur'an, and as it relates to, judging back to the Qur'an and the Sunnah, then this is a point here, it's a relevant point that we should understand. So the Khawarij, the issue is to do with the rulers and making takfir of the rulers because of their injustice. and they're often motivated by material matters to begin with anyway. They're not sincere in what they are upon. Or there may be ignoramuses who are led by people at the top who are insincere, but those ignoramuses might be sincere, but they are juhal. They have no ilm. And that's what happened, that many of the qurra, many of the reciters, the Quran reciters who came from Kufa, who came from Basra, they were of this type. They were not of the caliber of the companions who understood the Quran with the Sunnah. These were just ignorant people who read the Quran, learned the Quran, but there was no ilm, there was no fahm, there was no understanding.